Hello and welcome back to another Space Engineers mod showcase video. In today's video, we're looking at another decorative mod. This one is called Tarps Nets, which just so happens to do exactly what it says on the tin. It adds a nice variety of different tarps, a nice variety of different cargo nets for you to play with in your world. And that's what I've set up all the way around this platform. So what we're going to do is have a quick look through the blocks added through this mod. We'll go through some examples which I've set up all the way around this place to see what you can do with this mod, then I'll go through very quickly how you can set this all up. So coming over to this lovely wall, what we've got is a bunch of different tarps and nets. I have omitted the offset versions because they are identical, they're just slightly higher up. But yes, what we got at the very front are the tarps 3x3 and the tarps 3x3 slopes, which are partially animated. If we was just come down over to this one, which is the flush version, just hover here for a few seconds, what you'll be able to see is that it's raising up and lowering down as if it's being affected by the wind, which is a very neat little thing. I wasn't expecting anything like that with this mod, so it is nice to see the effort that's gone into this. This is the flush version where we have these little attach points on the side, which we can use with these pillars sitting right next to me. We've got a standard pillar, which is the same size as a steel block, then we've got a half pillar, which is going to be used for the offset versions, but we'll come back to these a bit later. So back all the way over here and looking down, that is what we get. So it is just a flush version, and we can attach it onto a wall, attach some pillars onto it, and of course we can recolor them. But let's just quickly say get this bright hideous green color, and let's go for the camouflage. I'm now going to come across over to this, and then do that. There we go, we can color it, and we can put skins on it. If we were to move up and above here, this is simply the sloped version, so if you want to have it on a roof coming off your base, you can do that. You can have that coming from your wall or your roof, and this can have the pillars coming down to the ground. But it is the same as the one below it. We've got a slight animation to it, and of course we can change the color, and we can change the skin. Over onto this one, these are the exact same as them, but they are in cargo net form. These ones do not have any kind of animation whatsoever, so they are purely static, and they cannot use block skins. You can recolor them all you want, but if I do that, you will not get any kind of skins on them, so they are just for colors. We have to look at it on this side. Now we can move across over to this one. So these are the triangle parts. These ones do have offset blocks along with them, but these are just the standard ones, and they're basically the exact same. So up here, this is what that looks like. This is the tarp version, where once again, like all the other tarps, we've got a slight animation to it. And just looking down at that one, and once again, we can just recolor that and add a skin to it. Moving across over to this section, these are the last part of the mod. So we've got a hanging tarp, which could be used as a flag for your base. You can say like choose one of these skins right here to use to represent your base. So say if I wanted to be a red glamour skin faction, I can now come over to this, paste that on there, and now I've got a lovely little flag to hang around my base. Up here's what we just saw a second ago. These are the pillars to attach onto the tarps and nets. And of course we've got the little diddy one for the offset versions. And there we go, that is what we get with the tarps and net mod. What can we do with them? Well, if I come all the way over to where I was standing, this is what we can do. So these are the two standard tarps, where we got on the right hand side the standard 3x3, on the left hand side we've got the offset version, and as you can see the offset version is the only one which can have blocks underneath it, because it is slightly higher than the standard steel block. Grab hold of my character, we now walk underneath it. This is just simply what it looks like. You can make it quite high up and have a vehicle under here if you want to. You could use it as camouflage to cover up your tanks from your enemies, or just use it as what I'm doing and have a little outpost and store your stuff underneath it. Then if we were to come around over to this section, this is a better example. In fact, we'll look at the flag first of all. This is what I've done using the pillars. So the pillars come all the way up and across the top. There is the hanging tarp with a lovely golden disco skin, and that's what I was saying about having a little flag on your base. So you can do that if you wanted to. Then just come around to the back. There we go. Yes, as I was saying before I got interrupted by that, this is what I've set up using the standard 3x3, the slopes, and of course the triangle cargo nets. Got this section where we can come underneath here, hide under here like it is a secret base, and I've even got a little chair to sit on. So looking up, that is all we get around here. And there is, once again, the hanging tarp on its side, covering up the front. Coming over to this section, which is a lot better example. This is what you can do with your vehicles attached onto a base. So here's the lovely Cuda M2, underneath a bunch of cargo nets, which is coming across from some steel blocks. And what I've done at the top here is use the pillars to come across and act like a support. There we go, that's what it looks like from a distance. Then we come around over to the ramp, that's what that looks like. Then just for good measure, we come underneath there and look up. So sunlight does come through, and you can see how that's been joined up in the middle. And there we go. So now what I can do is give you a little example, then we'll play with the weather, because the tarps which are currently moving around should become more animated in stormy weather. To get started with building these, we're going to need to have our pillars. What I'm going to do is build the offset versions so we can build underneath it, store a few bits and bobs like cargo crates or a vehicle, and that'll be that. So I've got pillars right here, I'm now going to build that up, and now I'm going to take the other version and build that on top. It can be a little bit fiddly to get that on there. So there we go, we now got the pillar. Next I can come across to the tarps and just scroll wheels through until we get to the offset version. So there we go. I can now come to this and then just click that in place. Can be, like I said, very fiddly to get these in place. That's what that looks like once it's all connected up. Now we can just go around and fill in the remainder of the pillars. Put the half one on top, now that one's done. This section, if I wanted to, I could then put some steel blocks in here. And we can have these steel blocks as pillars instead of using the regular little pillars, we go with the mods. There we go, we now walk underneath this. And we've got ourselves a little section where we can now build. So just throwing in a corner chair, we'll go and put then like a bed into this section, and I'll go and put in a regular couch, and there we go. I've now built in under the tarps, very easy to set it up. Now I think it's time to play around with the weather. And here we go, we can now clearly see that it is fully animated moving up and down in this stormy weather, unlike beforehand where it could be mistaken for being static. If we were to move across over to this one and just stand underneath it and look up, that's what we get. Just raising my character up just a little bit. There we go. That's what that looks like. So we're just going up and down at a much greater distance than before. That is pretty much it for the Tarps Net mod. It's very self-explanatory with what it does, and it's a very useful mod if you are looking to store stuff outside your base and you don't want to use steel blocks because they're too bulky and ruin the design of your base. These are very lightweight and very realistic looking, especially the tarps with how they animate with the wind, and you can get a lot of use out of them, especially the tarps if you were to use the camouflage skin with a more realistic colour, instead of going for something bright and hideous like I've done over there. So one final thing to do before I end this video is of course just to quickly go through the costs. They generally just cost construction components, steel tubes or canvases, and for the pillars themselves they're just construction components and steel tubes. But that is it for this mod. There'll be a link to it in the description below if you do wish to download and play around for yourself. Highly recommend you do, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.